Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a Cafecito con Masha. Estoy muy contenta. Tenemos una gran entrevista el día de hoy, pero antes quiero presentarles la introducción del programa. Así que bueno, pues bienvenidos a todos. Espero que vayan a disfrutar mucho esta entrevista. Y aquí arrancamos. Pues ahora sí vamos a presentar a nuestra invitada, Polina Edmunds. Hi, Polina, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to introduce Polina. Many people know you, but for those who don't, Polina was an Olympic competitor in Sochi 2014. She also is the champion of the 2015 Four Continents, and also she was a 2 times US silver medalist. So Polina Edmunds is a big deal in the whole world, not only on the US. So I'm very glad to have you here on my show.
Thank you.
I wanted to know what inspired you to start figure skating?
Well, I started skating when I was 2 years old because my mom put me on the ice. She was a figure skating coach, but my earliest memories are really when I was 5, 6, 7. And at that point, I loved to skate. And I really looked up to Sasha Coyne and Michelle Kwan and Carolina Kostner. And I just loved to skate at that point already. So that was kind of what was like keeping me interested.
So your mom also coached you, right?
She did, yes. My mom was my coach.
And how was that? Was that difficult?
It was challenging for sure. My mom and I, we would fight a lot, obviously, because the mother and daughter relationship is really hard when you're also coaching. But it was also just the greatest blessing because she always knew like exactly what was going on with me, and she knew exactly how I worked and everything. So she knew how to plan for everything. And yeah, it was hard, but manageable.
Oh my God, yeah, I can imagine. I'm coaching my daughter. She's only 8 years old, and it's been so difficult. That's why I'm asking, because it's, I mean, not so many people can deal with that. So,
totally.
She coached you your whole life?
She did. Yeah, she coached me my whole life.
Awesome. But
yeah.
You were also with other coaches, right?
I did have other coaches as well, yes. So
wow, that's so great. I mean, it's like you said, it's challenging, but it definitely worked. So
absolutely.
maybe it was a great combination.
Exactly. I wouldn't have gone as far as I did without my mom by my side, for sure.
That's awesome. Is she still coaching you?
She is, yeah. She still helps me on the ice whenever I'm skating, and she is coaching a ton of kids at the rink too. So
wow, that's so great. So you were, I mean, you gave so great results, even as a really young child. And I remember when you came to Mexico for Mexico Cup. That was the first time I saw you skating. I was on the staff on the competition. The people who organized the competition asked me to be the person who was announcing all the skaters. So I was there. And I remember when I saw you on a practice before the competition, and I was like, oh my God, this girl knows how to jump. I remember you were so little, but so tall and with big jumps. Do you remember that competition?
I do. I love JGP Mexico. That was my first junior Grand Prix ever. So it was very
Oh,
special. Yeah.
I didn't know it was your first one. I remember you won and you did a great job. I mean, awesome programs and everything, all your attitude. I mean, it was so perfect, but I didn't know it was your first one. And you won the whole Grand Prix, right?
I did. I won my second one and I went to the final.
Wow. I
Yeah.
have a picture from that competition. Let me show you. Here's us.
Oh my goodness. Wow,
Yeah,
that's so awesome. Oh my God, I'm so little.
I know you were so little. How old were you? Like maybe 14?
Um, yeah, I think I was just turned 15.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah.
look younger, definitely.
I know, I look like I'm 12.
Yeah. Yeah, because of your face. But I mean, it was a great competition. In Mexico, we don't have lots of international competitions. I think we had Mexico Cup maybe 3 times, and it's unusual. But I remember all the people were so excited, and we saw you, Mariah Bell, Nathan Chen. I
Yeah.
mean, and in that moment, we didn't even know who you were because it was, like you said, your first competition. But years on, we see you in the Olympics, in the World Championships, and it's so awesome to see. Oh my God, I saw her in Mexico, and she was such a great skater then. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was an amazing competition. I remember the organization of the event, you know, the hotel, the skating rink, and then the party after. It was so well done for all of the athletes. So I really loved JGP Mexico. The only part that was really, really hard was the altitude, for sure. That was
Oh,
killer.
really?
It was
It was
killer.
hard for you? Well,
So
it
hard.
didn't show.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a really great competition. It's one of my favorite ones that I've done.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, people in Mexico were so excited. And after that competition, you started doing so great internationally. I mean, just 1 year after, you won your first silver medal at the US Championships, and you qualified for Sochi. I mean, in such a short time.
Yeah,
So,
it was really quick.
and you
Uh,
were so close to winning that championship in 2014, the nationals.
yeah, I was, yeah, silver. I was like right on the cusp. But
Yeah.
I had been planning all year to kind of get that achievement because I had been the junior champion in 2013. So that, or yeah, 2013, that was that year.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sent to junior worlds. So my federation didn't send me because I didn't have experience competing internationally yet. And so I like was like crushed. I was so devastated, but I worked like super hard all year. And then when I went to JGP Mexico and my second JGP in Belarus and the final, I was trying to perform like as best as I could, win as much as I can before nationals, because I knew that even if I was performing well and I was one of the best, they might not send me to the Olympics because last year they didn't send me to Junior Worlds. So I didn't want there to be any question that I wasn't ready internationally or anything. So I wanted to show in the
That you
fall that I
deserve
could.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So in that team, it was you, Gracie, and Ashley, right?
Yes. In Sochi, it was me, Gracie, and Ashley. Yeah.
So please tell me, okay, this is like a big deal because you were so young. So to qualify to the Olympics in such a short time, I mean, from when you won the Grand Prix, the Junior Grand Prix, to when you went to the Olympics in Sochi, it was such a short time. So how do you prepare mentally, like psychologically? Because it's a big change
From nationals to the Olympics.
from the Junior Grand Prix to
From
the Olympic. Like so many things happened in that short time.
Totally. For me, it was a lot of inner confidence, a lot of believing in myself that I would be able to show what I could do on such a big stage. But for me, the best practice that I really had was the Junior Grand Prix final because it was in just as big of an arena. It was with the seniors, you know, we were with the
Mhm.
Senior Grand Prix as well. So I was able to see and meet all of the top skaters who I like idolized and I really looked up to, and they were all there and they were all talking like to me, and you know, I was just a junior so they didn't really pay attention to me, but it was the first like huge high stake event that I had been at, and I was with one other American girl and four Russian girls, and so the six of us on the ice, like it was so strong and the atmosphere was so competitive that that really prepared me for when I was at the Olympics. um, to kind of like be in that same sphere. And because I had met everybody in December, like just as a junior, they already knew me when I went in February to the Olympics because and it was really cool. They all like congratulated me and told me that they watched nationals, and that yeah, like everybody was kind of shocked that they had met me as a junior 2 months before, and then all of a sudden I was there at like the biggest competition with them.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
tell me about the experience at the Olympics. I mean, I always ask this question because it's like so surreal. I've been to the Olympics, but as a sports commentator, as a figure skating commentator, and I remember, like you said, the atmosphere, everything is so strong, so big. It's huge. So I can't imagine how it feels to be competing there. I mean, it's like that this thing you dream of since you start skating. So how does it feel? How was your experience there?
It was pretty crazy, obviously. But it was, yeah, it was like a dream. The entire week that I was there was like, it's like almost blurry to me now because it was like just so amazing. But for me, the biggest thing was definitely in the arena. There was so much media. There were so many cameras following like my every move, which I wasn't at all used to. It's never like that anywhere except for at the Olympics. And then to be with all of the other top skaters. I was in the locker room with Yuna Kim, who I had like
God.
really looked up to. Like her technique, her jumps are what I had always wanted to emulate. And
Yeah.
so for me to like be in the same locker room, to be on the ice at the same time as these people, it was crazy. But it was so cool because nobody kind of, you know, like had their nose up or anything like towards
Mhm.
me. I felt very included and I felt like mutual respect from everybody. And so that was probably the best part of being there, was that I wasn't just like pushed down as like this little girl that just made it. I was like one of the competitors.
Wow. So did you get nervous at any time?
I was definitely nervous, but more than that, I was super excited because it was the first time that I knew that everybody, like in my hometown, everybody in the US, everybody in the world was going to be watching. And that made me super excited because I never thought that I would get to that point in my skating where people who weren't at all involved with my like career like would be watching. So that was like really, really like fun for me, which I was able to take out onto the ice with me and just like perform as best as I could.
So usually at the competitions, everybody minds their own business, right? They're concentrating. So when do you get the time to make friends with the girls you're competing against?
We like see each other a lot like during the week of competition because we're always, you know, on the same schedules, buses, eating times, like whatever. But more than that, like throughout the years, at different competitions or camps or nationals, we see each other and we hang out and we like see like other people in groups. So you really just become friends with everybody involved. Like, yes, there is like competitiveness, but at the same time, everybody knows kind of what it takes and what
What it takes to be there?
right, everybody knows that, you know, the ice is slippery, anything can happen. And so like at least for me, I never felt like there was hard feelings or jealousies or anything. Like I was like pretty good with everyone. So yeah.
I think that's the main idea of going to the Olympics, right? I mean, the sports ethic and all this cleanness in the sport. So I think that's the main idea, and to have a nice experience. I don't think it would be like the main idea of Olympics to go and have people looking at you in a bad way, or I don't know.
Totally. Yeah. That, and I felt that completely there. Like it was just like this big party for everyone, really. Like there was just only like positive vibes with everyone. And so it was yeah, amazing to be a part of. Like nothing I'd ever been to before.
So for you, how was life after the Olympics when you realized you achieved your goal, your lifetime goal, and what came next?
I was going to school at the same time, and then after that I went to the World Championships and I was in Stars on Ice. And after that, like the next 2 years, I was competing internationally on the Grand Prix scenes and the World Championship level. And it was amazing because for me, what really changed was everybody like at home that I went to school with, just in the town, anything, they all knew about my skating and they all really admired the level that I had achieved and my success, which growing up, like always skating and never getting to kind of like do normal things with like kids my age from school and whatever, like they didn't understand really what I was doing.
Yeah,
But at that point, they understood and they like really respected what I was doing. And that was really cool just to get that recognition
yeah, of
and to
course.
like be that person that people recognized as like, that's the Olympic skater. Like that's so cool to me. So that was kind of a difference for sure. It was like very uplifting for me. And then obviously skating and being in like the top ranks, it was completely different than when I was just like a junior. So it was
Of
really
course,
awesome to have that switch like in
your
the
whole
skating.
life changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything changed. And it was really awesome just to have like all of my hard work during my childhood like pay off and
Wow.
like have the
So
switch.
many skaters retire after going to the Olympics, but you didn't. So just 1 year after that, you won the 2015 Four Continents. So I have a couple of pictures here. Let me show. So did you have in mind like going to another Olympic Games or not really?
I did. I wanted to go in 2018 for sure, but unfortunately I was injured like the
Your
year
foot,
two
right?
years
Or something.
before. Yeah, so I was injured in 2016 and that was like devastating for my career because I needed to take so much time off. And like at the same time of me growing and being a teenager and having all these changes in my body, like for me to stop training, like elevated, it sped up the process and made me change in so many ways that I had never experienced before. And that was, making skating more difficult for me because I wasn't
Mhm.
this like tiny string bean anymore. But at the same time, like it was really helpful too, for me to kind of have a break and get back into skating and like feel like more mature, I guess, with my
Mhm.
skating because my issue when I was competing competitively after the Olympics, um, I had all the elements. I was competing, with the top, triple combinations, whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
but I was never winning. I was always right off of the podium or always sixth or whatever. And I was losing to girls who were making a lot of mistakes. I lost like to some Russian girls who made fell like many times and they were still silver or bronze and I was fourth or I was fifth with clean program.
Mhm.
And it was really frustrating for me because I didn't have the support of my like federation. Like they weren't pushing for me because
Yeah.
we had um other American skaters who they were pushing for. So they like just kind of let me like wherever they place me, which is really hard, for somebody who's dedicating like their whole life. It's really difficult, the training that we put through. And so to not get results like based off of our performance, it sucked.
I
But
know what you mean, because I had something similar in my career. And in Mexico, it's really difficult. I mean, I started skating when I was 11 years old. So I was kind of old for the sport. So when I got to senior level, I was already 19 or 20 years old. So there were younger skaters here, and they supported them instead of me, even if I did the jumps. So I think I understand what you mean. It's so heartbreaking because you train so hard and you just can't get where you want to be.
totally. It's really hard because it should be a sport first, you know, like no matter how like pretty the skater is, if they don't perform the elements, like if they fall on jumps, miss, whatever, they shouldn't win, you know. But that's just unfortunately not how it works. With like, you kind of have to wait in line, and like it's kind of horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me it was really hard, like hearing that the reason I wasn't on the podium was that I was too tall and skinny and young looking. Like, I just wait a few more years, like maturity will like help you later, like you just need to wait. But I was watching girls from Russia my age, younger than me, also like skinny sticks, win every podium.
Yeah, so
And
it's
so
kind of
I told the judges too, I said, like, you say this to me, but I see something different. Like, I watch the other girls win, but not me. Like, why? And they can't answer. They just kind of smile and they shake their head. Like, I figured it out, you know? And
oh
it's
my
like,
God.
yeah,
So
it's
you
horrible.
talk to the judges.
Oh yeah. I've always been very vocal. I've my team and I will tell the judges, and we've invited people to critique me and to kind of like be on my team and help me. And they tell us, you know, like how you kind of have to play the game, and it's horrible. But I tried to play the game, but it still didn't work for me. And it ended up just kind of like, I always, like, myself have been very strong with saying, I have all of the jumps, I perform well, like I want to win.
Yeah.
And every time I say that, I get like attacked by a lot of people who think that I'm too arrogant, and they think like I'm not gracious enough to be like representing Team USA, right? Or, you know, to be at a competition with so many other skaters. But for me, it's like, I know that I'm not going to be scored fairly next to other skaters who make mistakes. So I need to be the one that sticks up for me. I need to be the one right after my program to the reporters talking, say, yes, I did a great job. Like, I wish I got a higher score. But unfortunately, like, it doesn't show to like to anybody that like I'm confident. Instead, it shows that I'm like arrogant, which is just,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I didn't know at all about that. I mean, actually, I wanted to talk about what you said in your podcast, but okay, so it's kind of in that direction. So, in your podcast, you said you were kind not struggling, but okay, you were in a regular school. That's unusual for the top figure skaters in US. I mean, in Mexico, it's the normal thing, but in the US, all the top skaters
Right.
homeschool or whatever. So you were going to regular school. So you say in your podcast that you feel like the U.S. figure skating wasn't supportive enough because of your double life. So please tell me a little bit more about that.
Totally. So I always went to normal school. I went to elementary, middle, high school, never was homeschooled. But all the other top skaters were. They all were homeschooled, and they all spent many, many hours on the ice. I only spent like 3 to 4, maybe 2 to 3, really, because there wasn't a lot of ice time after school. But I was able to like be really, really productive and get my work done. And I was able to, yeah, by the age of 13, get all of my jumps and then be at the Olympics at 15 with all of that. So it, you know, different people need different things. Like, another skater might need that 8 hours
Yeah,
to get to the Olympics. Like, I didn't. Like, it just
you
depends
didn't
on,
need it.
right. But I think because nobody does it like I did, it's kind of like I don't want to say like jealousy, because it's not really like that, but it's kind of this like, oh, nobody does it like that. Like, why does she think she can do it like that kind of thing? And so they would always tell me, you know, make comments to my mom and I like, oh, what's more important for her, school or skating? We would always say both, because, you know, like I was never getting first. I was never getting scored, you know, even if I skated clean, I was always not on the podium. So how could I put my whole life into skating if they were already showing that they weren't going to support me?
Yeah.
So school was really important for me to like always have a grip on the rest of the world. Like skating is this one thing and I can be really good at it, but like there's a whole nother world of so many other things. Like it's not all skating. And so like knowing that like helped me through the politics of skating, and knowing that like even though I wasn't winning and like I could have been but I wasn't, it wasn't the end of the world. Like my life wasn't going to come crashing down, because I could put my interest into something else. And so that's kind of what saved me with a lot of the devastation with skating. And that's what I see happens to a lot of skaters, especially now, where they were held so highly, even with mistakes, they were winning, and then they were just dropped. And they're depressed, and they have all these issues, and they don't know how to go on with life, and they don't know how to move on. And it's because they didn't have the tools to help them like navigate the rest of the world.
Yeah.
To them, when skating ended, everything ended. And so for me, I'm really grateful that my parents like always held education with skating like just as highly, so that for me, when I got injured and skating fell for me, I still had school to put all of my energy into.
Yeah, so that was what I was going to ask. It was like kind of your family values, right? So they supported you in the sport, like to go all the way, but never leaving beside the school. So I can imagine it was hard. How was your schedule during the day?
It was very packed. I always was skating 5 a.m. in the morning, before school, changing in the car, going to school for 6 hours, and then I'd go right back to the rink, and I would train for another 1 or 2 hours, and then do stretching or like off ice running, conditioning. And I did dance classes once a week, ballet, jazz, and tap, to help with my dance ability on the ice, artistry. So I was always very packed, but it was good for me because I just have like so much energy that I put everything into these like boxes,
Yeah.
and it never like burned me out, because I could come home at the end of the day and just like relax, watch TV, hang out with my brothers, and then like get a full night's sleep and start again.
You have two brothers, right? And they played
I,
hockey
yeah, they both played hockey.
still?
They don't anymore now. They're both like, one is graduated from college now and one is going to college, and so they're like, yeah, focusing on different things now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's good you were so talented, but I mean that helped. Maybe not everybody could do what you did. Like you said, you didn't need like to be on the ice the whole day training. You had your jumps, so it was just maintaining your like your level, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Maybe not everybody could. Here in Mexico, we don't have homeschool. There's like no sport support.
Hmm.
People go to regular school and they try to manage the schedule for figure skating. So for us, it's normal.
Hmm.
But like the top skaters in Mexico think they can't achieve to go to Worlds or Olympics with that. So many skaters just stop going to school. And I think that that's a big mistake because in Mexico, we don't have what you have on the US. You can live from figure skating, you can do shows, you can do so many things. But in Mexico, we don't have that. So I have always thought that's a mistake to leave school and don't figure skating stops, or if you get injured and you can't skate anymore, what are you going to do?
Totally. Yeah. That's like such a huge thing too, is like injury. Like even if you try to prevent it like as best as you can, like accidents happen. You never know. Like it happened to me and it was
Yeah.
crazy. I'd never been injured once in my life, and all of a sudden I like my career was done. Like, and it was really crazy. And I definitely think, you know, like you can make a schedule for yourself like with school where you can do everything.
Yeah.
skate before and after school, like even if it's just 45 minutes, 1 hour, but you're really productive and you do like, it's not, you come to the ice because people can come for 4 hours, but they can just like skate around, talk to people, not be dynamic. That's never how it was for me. I always, if I had 1 hour on the ice, it was very intensive 1 hour. And, after 45 minutes, the last 15 minutes, those were really hard for me. I was always in tears. I was always crying.
You were so tired.
Yeah, I was tired and my like blood sugar was down, like energy was down, and it was so hard, but I was always really pushed by my mom and my coaches. Like last 15 minutes, like they knew that I was going to be crying at that point, and they like just pushed me really hard, and I like kind of got used to it, and it was the thing. But
that was your life.
Yeah, and it's possible if you can be dynamic and you can be productive in that 1 hour. But if you're going to come for multiple hours and just hang around and like, it's not going to be any different.
Yeah, of course. So there's a story you were telling in your podcast about some competition. I don't remember which one. And you were nervous and you would calm down doing homework. But then some people from the federation saw you doing homework or something. Could you tell us about that story?
Yeah, so I was at nationals and it was before the Olympics. So it was like Olympic trials basically.
Yeah.
And I always, before competition, I get super nervous the entire day. Like I feel like there's a really heavy weight on me and I don't want to talk to anybody and I don't want to do anything. Like I just like, I feel so much pressure. And what helps me relax is if I take homework with me or book or whatever, and I start doing my homework from school because it puts my mind in a place that's not skating. It makes me feel like I'm just at school like any other kid doing homework. It's no pressure. It's just something that you do. And that completely like helps me relax, helps me forget, butterflies go down. And it's the best stress reliever for me. And so I did that before nationals. I had like 2 hours before I needed to compete. So it wasn't enough time to kind of go home and then come back. Like that was too much movement. So we just stayed at the ice rink. And I found a corner with my mom and I brought my homework with me and I just sat down and started doing it. And I had like 2 or 3 officials walk by, and these were like Olympic committee officials and our Team USA performance director. And they saw me doing homework and they looked at me and they kind of like smirked and they were like, "Are you really doing homework right now? Like, are you serious?" And I was like, just sitting there, like, and of course I smiled at them and I joked with them, like, "Oh, of course." And my mom, like, same thing. She said, "Yeah, my daughter's a student. Why wouldn't she be doing homework? Like, the world doesn't stop for your national trials, you know?" And so they, like, walked away, like, kind of like laughing and like shaking their heads. But it's just like another like dig at me and my lifestyle of going to school and stuff, and not just like sitting there and like having headphones on and visualizing like so many other skaters do. For me, that's like
That's
way
what
too
works
much
for
pressure.
you.
Yeah, it's what helps me compete at my best that makes them pick me to represent them. But they were like putting me down with that. And so it was like, yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It's like they want to label every skater like into the same thing, right? They want the skater, like you said, with the headphones, warming up or just listening to music, not talking to anyone. But
Yeah.
I mean, not everything works for everyone. It's not the same for every person. There's people who doesn't even get nervous and they can be chatting with friends or with people before competition. And there's people puking on the bathroom. I mean, there's it's different for everyone, and they have to respect that. They shouldn't be making fun of you or anyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Totally.
it's kind of unfair. And
No,
do you think
it is.
they're still doing that to some other skater now? I don't know if there's some skaters, top skaters who have the same schedule as you with school or something.
Yeah. I know that there's some other skaters who are like going to college right now and skating at the same time, but yeah, I don't really know what their like
Stories.
stories are like, and I don't know how it's hard because I see like US figure skating, especially on social media, they really support other athletes who are in college. Like I see stuff all the time about Like, you know, Nathan Chen is at
Yeah.
Yale, so amazing. And like Karen Chen is at Cornell, which is so great. Like, it's really awesome to see everybody, you know, taking education with sport. But I like am one of their Olympians as well. And
Yeah.
they never post or anything about, you know, me at school or me with everything I do. And I just graduated and I never got any congratulations from them, like nothing. And it's just very interesting to see how they like.
Yeah, why? The question is why, right?
Totally.
So right now you're still skating and you're skating so great. I mean, I saw this video on your Instagram. I'm gonna show it because I'm impressed. I mean, you're not competing now, but you're skating so awesome. I mean, your jumps are like you never stopped competing.
Thank you.
So beautiful. I mean, you still jump so high, so strong. And even like you said, your body changed obviously because I mean you're an adult now, but it's like nothing happened to you. I mean, you're still jumping like before. It's so beautiful. Do you think you would compete again or no?
For me, I really wanted to, like 6 months ago before coronavirus happened, I was planning on it, but after competition hit, or I'm not competition, the virus, all the rinks were closed down. And so I didn't skate for a few months. And then by the time I needed to start again, my plan had really been to compete all summer, all fall. Like locally, I wanted to be at summer competitions everywhere. And then in the fall, I needed to already practice, you know, international competitions, maybe senior Bs, like anything, to practice adrenaline. Because as you could see, like my jumps, I'm so happy that I got everything back.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is like just a huge accomplishment, like for me personally, to be able to, you know, have my body change and be able to return everything. But the second part of that is competing with them. And so for me,
Yeah, it's so different in the program.
it's yeah, I felt like I tried to compete a little bit last year and I felt like completely just so jittery and nervous, and like I never like really used to feel that before because I was used to it because I was competing all the time. So it
Oh
was like
yeah.
routine.
You
But
come
after,
back, it's hard.
yeah, when after not competing for a few years, like it's so hard. And so I needed the practice.
Yeah.
But now everything's canceled and I can't practice it. So it to me it's like not really worth like me putting so much energy into it when I'm not getting like what I need to be getting out of, which is to practice competing. So at this point, I don't think that I'm going to keep competing, just because there's not enough time before the next Olympics, and for me to compete like
Yeah.
in front of crowds, there's just
You
not
need
enough
more time.
time. Yeah, and so and I don't want to keep competing for 6 more years because that's a long time. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's such a big commitment of, it's your whole life. Like for me, if I like choose to do it, I need to, yeah, put like my full focus and energy in and say no to any like fun opportunities that come because I need to just train. And like I was ready to commit that, at the beginning of the year, but now with the coronavirus, like it
Yeah,
doesn't.
it stops everything for everyone.
Yeah,
It's
so
so crushing because so many skaters who were going to the world championships and they were ready. I mean, I think about the girls who were in junior and they were going to their first senior world championships. It's so crushing that they couldn't get the chance. And maybe next year, but it's not the same. So yeah, life changes for everyone. So is your ice rink open right now or not?
it did open, but they're only doing like kind of skating camps of like 12
Mhm.
skaters at a time, and they have to be the same 12 skaters for 3 weeks because
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't want mixing. Like it's complicated. So for me, it's like hard to
To
try to
arrange.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, but it's
So
open.
you graduated from college in communications, right?
I did. Yeah.
So what do you think it's next for you? Do you have plans? Okay, maybe not competing, but in figure skating or more to your career in communications?
So both. I would love to be a sportscaster for figure skating. I'd love to be commentating. That would
Yes.
be really cool. I would love to work in media, and do stories for up and coming skaters, because I feel like from when I was competing and I was skating, like I didn't have that same kind of support and the spotlight always on me until I made the Olympics. So for me, I would love to support young talents that I see and like help them and put light on them, and not only like, the two skaters that you always like get all the sponsors. That's something like, that's a project that I would love to do. But further than that, I'd love to do kind of like Olympic, also like media, be like a reporter or something. Like I would love to work.
So much fun.
Sports. Yeah. And then I'm also just looking at anything with like marketing or whatever right now, just because everything's shut down. But as far as skating, I'd love to do skating shows still. Whenever I'm invited, I'm so excited. I love that. And I want to get into seminars as well. I want to come like meet skaters from everywhere and help them and do camps for them too, because I feel like I have a lot to share. And
come to Mexico.
Yeah, I would love to. I want to. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
We had Yevgenia Medvedeva. She came here. Mirai Nagasu came here. Who else? Yulia Limitskaya. Who else? I can't remember who else, but you should definitely come here. All Mexican girls are eager to take seminars from Olympians or top skaters. I mean, everybody goes because we don't have so much figure skating here, but we have great skaters. So every time someone comes here to do a seminar, well, it's full.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I would love to. I love working with kids. I work a lot at my ice rink with the kids there, and I always do like Christmas shows, and I organized in the last few years, like in December, like holidays, I've been doing shows for them, and they can go and perform at little outdoor rinks like all over the Bay Area. So that's fun for me. And I've been like camp counselors working with kids all the time. So I love it.
And also you're like a huge fan of Champions on Ice and Stars on Ice and all that, right? And you were on Stars on Ice.
I was, yeah. That was like a dream come true for me, because I grew up always going to Champions on Ice, Stars on Ice. And for me to be in the show myself, like, yeah, crazy.
It's so much fun. And if you get a job like a commentator, sports commentator or whatever, it would be great, because maybe you can have both. I mean, it's not a job where you have to be in an office. So you have like more free time, and you can put together both of your passions, the communications and the figure skating. I mean, I also studied communications, and for me, this has been so awesome. I mean, my first job was in Torino 2006. They sent me to Italy to commentate my first Olympics, and it was huge. I mean, it was so much fun. And after that, I just stayed there. And I'm doing like all this, putting the figure skating, but trying to show people the passion of the sport and, all that. So you could do something great.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, and you should continue also with your podcast. I mean, it's so interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I've been wanting to kind of start something like this for a long time, just because, I have so many stories from my experiences competing that a lot of people just don't know the behind the scenes, you know, like the politics behind everything. And so for me to be able to talk about it now, I hope that skaters and I hope that parents and other people can listen and understand like the world of competitive skating and competitive sports, and it's really difficult. But I also I hope that people can hear the hardships that I've gone through and still see that I was able to be successful and that I was able
I think that's very important. Like I said before, people who think that they have to skip school in order to achieve their goals, and it's not true. I mean, you had like a very heavy schedule, but you did it, and you went to the Olympics, and you had a great place. And I mean, you went to the top competitions in the world, and you didn't have to skip anything. I mean, it was hard, of course. It was a difficult journey, but you did it. And people should know that even if it's hard, they can get there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and you should definitely do like a project to help young skaters because I mean, I think that that's necessary.
Yeah, totally. That's always been one of my like goals and projects. So I'm looking forward to being able to start it and actually having the time now to like dedicate to that. Now that I don't have to be training all the time.
Yeah, of course. And last question, what advice would you give to the new generations of skaters about everything? I mean, about what to do, how to do it, what about school? What's the best advice you could give them to get there, to achieve their goals, to have their dream?
My advice would be to like work hard, but never look to anybody else. Like know what you need and don't compare yourself to, you know, if a friend of yours or other skaters are getting things faster than you or doing things differently and, you know, they have different results than you.
Mm.
Everybody has their own like time. Everybody has their own schedule of doing things. For me, when I was growing up, I was always like sixth, seventh, always like behind everyone. And then all of a sudden, when I was 15, everybody who was ahead of me, they were gone. And I was the top. So you have like everybody has their own time. And so don't be like so competitive when you're younger because the only time you're truly competitive is when you have all the elements and you're in senior.
Yeah,
The other
that's
stuff, yeah, it's all just building blocks. And so I think like just focusing on yourself and getting as far as you can yourself, that's like the best advice I can give you. Like work hard, stay confident, believe in yourself, and don't look to anybody else.
and be persistent, right?
Yeah, totally. You
Yeah, some
can't
people
stop.
give up when they think, when they feel they're not at the level of the other skaters, and they give up. And maybe if they didn't give up, they would be like your story, like everybody else, just stop skating, and they could get there.
Yeah,
So
totally.
this interview will stay as a video on my channel, so I'll share it to you later. But I will put on the description of the video your podcast so people can listen to it because it's so interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I was listening to it, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know this.
It's funny.
I mean, your stories are awesome. And before saying goodbye, I just want to thank all the sponsors of my channel. And I want to thank John Wilson Blades. I also want to thank MK Blades. Just give me 1 second. John Wilson, thanks for everything. MK Blades, Glice Ice Rinks, the ecological synthetic ice, and also EDEA. They have been so supportive in my YouTube channel. So thanks everyone. Thanks for making this and everything possible. And that's it. So Polina, thanks for everything. I'm so happy to have you here. Thanks for the invitation to my YouTube channel. It's been great hearing your stories. I mean, it's like not the classical story you hear about figure skaters,
Yeah.
but you are so honest, and I'm grateful that you could share all these personal stories with us. That's awesome. And I think your life story about school and figure skating and getting to the top can help so many skaters and so many athletes in general. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Of
So I
course.
hope we can do something, something more later, maybe an episode about your life in figure skating and life in school. I would love that, to do like a special documentary about you, so
Yeah,
people can know you like more personally.
I'd love that. Sure.
Well, thanks for being here, Polina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gracias a todos por estar aquí, chicos. Esperen el video, va a estar disponible en unas horas como video. Thanks.
Bye.
Have a great day.